Hello everyone, welcome to this video on assertion and reason. This is a continuation of the series of videos on critical reasoning, which is a part of most of the entrance exams like CLAT, IBPS, other law exams, other BBA and BCOM entrance exams. So let's see what's an assertion and what's a reason. So an assertion is basically a statement based on a belief or facts. So simply it's a statement that says something, right? And a reason is a statement that explains the logic or the reason behind this statement, the assertion, right? So this is a statement and you have to check whether the second statement explains the reason behind the first statement. Now let's go to the questions and understand this concept better. Now let's take some questions to understand the concept better. Before going to this question, I'd like to talk about the options first. So how do the options in these questions look like? There will be four options. First option would say that the assertion is true, but the reason is false, right? The second option would say that the assertion is false, but the reason is true. The third option would be that both the assertion and reason are true, but this reason is not the correct explanation of the assertion. And the fourth option goes like both A and R are true, but the reason, and the reason is the correct explanation of this statement, that is the assertion, right? Now, let's take this question to understand the concept better. So, the assertion goes like, the Indian Constitution was adopted on the 26th of November 1949. This is true. The Indian Constitution was actually adopted on this date. Although it came into force on the 26th of Jan 1950, but it was adopted on this particular day, right? So, this is true. Now, going to the reason. The law day is celebrated on the 26th of November. This again is true. Okay. The law day is celebrated on this particular day. Fine. Now let's see whether this reason is the correct explanation of the assertion. So do you think the Indian Constitution was adopted on this date because the law day was celebrated on this date? No. It's actually the exact opposite, right? Like the law day is celebrated on this date because the Constitution was adopted on this date, right? So basically what I want to say is that both are true, but this is not the correct explanation of this assertion. So I'd go with option C. Let's take the next question, which says, the assertion says, all minorities, whether based on religion or language, shall have the right to establish and administer educational institutions of their choice. See, this question is based on the knowledge of Constitution. But again, I know that not every one of you is very good at the concepts of Constitution. But can we apply common sense to questions, right? See, just understand one thing. Most of the questions asked in, CLAT are based on common sense. Now, we are living in India. All of us know that we have a right to equality here, right? And the Constitution and the Government of India treats every religion, every language as equal, and we are a secular country. So I think obviously every minority has a right to establish their own educational institute. Okay, so I would say that this assertion is true, just going by common sense. And if you go to go and read the Constitution, this is there in the Constitution. Okay, now going to the second statement. Institutions established by minorities are not entitled to governmental aid. Don't you think it would be very mean on the government's part that they are not funding the educational institutions of minorities, right? This statement is not true because our Constitution says that everyone is equal in law, okay, and every minority community is entitled to a governmental aid, especially in case of education. Let's go to the next question, which is relatively an easy one. Ice floats on water. That is what the assertion says. All of us know that this is true, right? And the reason says that the mass per unit volume of ice, that is, what is this? This is nothing but the density of ice. Mass per unit volume is density, right? So the density of ice is less than that of water. Okay, so I think this also is true, right? The density of ice is less than water, and that's why it floats on water, right? So both of them are true, and this is the correct explanation of this. Let's go to the next question, which says, the assertion says, during inflation, there is an increase in money supply and a rise in the price level. Now, what is inflation? Inflation is a general increase in prices, right? So, inflation and rise in price level, this statement is true. Going to the next statement, that is the reason. The rise in prices is due to a shortage in supply of essential consumer goods. This statement is also true because obviously if there is a shortage of goods, the prices would go up. Because there is a shortage of goods, demand remains the same, so obviously the prices would go up, right? Now let's see whether this reason is the correct explanation of the assertion. So the assertion talks about inflation and a rise in the price level of things. And this statement, the reason, explains why the prices rise. This says that there is, due to the shortage of goods, the prices rise, right? So I think this reason is the correct explanation of the assertion. Let's go to the next question. So the assertion says that a void contract is not necessarily illegal. Now, what is a void contract? A void contract is a contract that does not have any value anymore in the eyes of law, right? So I would say that this assertion is true because not every void contract is illegal. Sometimes a void contract may also be legal. I'll give you an example. Say you've hired a painter to paint your own picture, right? But before the performance of this contract or before painting your picture, this painter dies. So obviously the contract becomes void because if one of the parties of the contract dies, obviously the contract would become void. But has it become illegal? No, not at all, right? So there can be some void contracts which are still legal. So this statement is correct. Now going to the second statement. Every illegal contract is void. This again is correct because obviously if something is illegal, it has to be void. It does not have any value in the eyes of law, right? So the assertion is correct as well as the reason is correct. But I think this sentence is not the correct explanation of this assertion because they look contradicting. See here it says that this voidness of a contract doesn't depend on the illegality, and here it says that every illegal contract is void. So both look contradictory. So obviously this is not the correct explanation of the assertion. Hope you liked this video on assertion and reason. And now if you go to the description of this video, you will find a link to our exam portal on which you can log in and take a free test on this topic, right? And if you have any queries or doubts, please comment in the comment section below. And last but not the least, do not forget to subscribe to the channel and please hit the bell icon. Thank you.